Hey YouTube, what's good and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan and this is Jonga, and today I have a deck that I really want to show off. It's a deck that I've played at multiple locals and I recently came third place at a regional with in Australia. And I guess I called this deck Lightsworn, Eldlich, Adventure, Destiny, Souls, or Leads for short, similar to how people will call their 60 card deck based. But yeah, naming conventions aside, the reason why I want to show this deck off is that I had so much fun playing it. It was really refreshing, and I think the game as a whole right now, for I guess players like me who enjoy large combo decks, is really, really good in that, yeah, you are gated by adventure cards, but if you have adventure cards, you can make so many cool and interactive and fun decks. I guess interactive is a relative term, but yeah, you can have some really amazing decks and come up with some quite cool stuff. So I guess to introduce or to begin this deck in the main deck, we play a lot of different engines, of course, which is kind of what modern day Yu-Gi-Oh has turned into. But it's really about how those decks intertwine and interact with one another, the engines within them, and you know how you can really min-max and get the most out of your cards. So I guess a beginning comment of this deck is it's very similar to Cyberse Eldlich, just does things in a cooler way, and I pretty much chose to play cards that I enjoy using myself and that I just wanted to use because they either look nice, they play nice, and yeah. So I guess the best way to explain this deck would be to lay out all the different engines. So I play a Lightsworn engine of 3 charge, 2 Raiden, and a Minerva, because tuner and level 3 is really good for the levels. And you know, charge is good because it mills, and we're playing, you know, adventure cards. So obviously if you mill Water Enchantress, that's really, really, really good, and a really good way to start off your turn. And under that logic, we play double Fateful because we don't want to mill it and then not be able to get it. Also, we want to be able to send it off Magician Souls. Under that logic, there is an argument to play 2 Griffin, but it's not the biggest deal. But it did come up once in perhaps the 15 matches that I've played with this deck, but not the worst thing in the world. And then of course the next engine, Magician Souls with 3 Illusion of Chaos. And like, a very expensive deck so far, but you see the synergy between these 3 engines already. And 3 of this because, well, if you mill too many, you might run out, and there are games where I definitely needed all 3 of them. So naturally, you're trying to get as much advantage as you can through sending your adventure cards to draw cards of Magician Souls. And then we play an Eldlich engine as well. So 3 Golden Lord, 3 Cursed Eldland, and then the white and the black Eldlixir, and then 3 Scarlet, 3 Conch, 3 Hugwero, and a Golden Land. So I guess the only unusual, non-standard things about this engine is obviously people don't always play 3 Eldlich, especially in combo-based decks, but this one, he's just really good to always draw this one because he gives you ability to go second by sending a card, but he's also an extender with the adventure engine. You discard him off Fateful, and then you can send your Draco back to summon him. So it's always 3 monsters is always really, really, really good. And then I guess Cursed Eldland in like combo Eldlich decks is also not very common, but I think the combo with Magician Souls is way too strong, and you know, drawing this is like a god card in this deck. And then these are very non-standard, but again, I would refer to these cards as ammunition in that they may be bricks, you don't always want to draw them, but when you do, they just simply act as cost for your cards and effects. And then the benefit of these ones is that you can banish them immediately to set the Golden Land cards out of your deck, which can be further used for your Souls, your Golden Lord, etc. So you don't have to play these, but I really like to, because even with the increased chance of milling with your charge, for example, you can hit these, and then hitting these gives you a higher likelihood of getting the Golden Land forever. I'm a really big fan of this card because it just makes your end boards so much better. It just makes sure all your degenerate cards they go through, which is really important. So your objective is to mill big, draw big, summon 4 to 5 monsters and make a good board. So obviously you need to play, cards like these. I call these, DP Scythe, self-explanatory. The only thing that can go wrong is if you mill one of these, or you mill both of these. Milling this is okay because Dagda summons out of the graveyard. You can just Dagda, pop Dagda, summon this out of your grave. That's particularly good with Conquistador because it makes it very hard for your opponent to actually stop you, especially if you have both this and DP on the field. You can often conk your Dagda to also summon Scythe. So often, most turns, you can actually have a multi-threat Scythe if things all go really good. And then the last two, I guess, engine pieces of the deck would be, a Ghost Ogre and a Veiler. Well, they're engine pieces because I want to summon these off Hulk, because we get to use our Lightsworn monsters as tuners to make Hulk with all our other free monsters. So even just very simple boards, which I might explain later on, very simple boards with adventure cards, Griffin, you summon a Hulk for, safely, you summon a Ghost Ogre, that's another interaction. Your Hulk turns into something for another interaction. It's just really good. And Veiler is just there for the Selene access code option in the extra deck. So I guess the immediate disadvantages would be, you draw too many Eldlich cards, you can't break boards, because you can often break boards pretty easily with the Adventure Engine, the Lightsworn cards, the Souls, and the Golden Lord. The only way you wouldn't be able to break boards is if you draw too many of the traps. Fortunately, that doesn't happen too often, but it still can, and it's still, a cost. It's a trade-off you make by, increasing your variability with cards like Charge, and by Souls, by discarding and drawing. You want to make sure you have the ammunition to do so that you're not just milling good cards. You make your strong cards stronger in my eyes, with like a slight trade-off of perhaps drawing a bit worse. But then that's also assuming you're going second. Often when you go first, it doesn't really matter what part of your deck you open because you're always doing something significant. So, yep, these are the engines: Lightsworn, Adventure, Eldlich, Souls, Destiny. And then just some rounding out cards. So naturally, Droplet is insane in this deck. You have plenty of cards you want to discard for its effect, and you need some, because you don't play the standard hand trap lineup, you need really something to help you break boards. And I just played, the one-off Foolish, of course, staple. And then, because I had some room, I had 2 cards left in particular, 2 slots left in particular, I played a Call by the Grave and a Talents. These operate pretty much the same way. I think Call by the Grave is just a god card in the current format. Lots of decks don't play it, but I really think that they should. There's so many hand traps going around. Talents is all around good as well, because again, people play so many hand traps. And then we play some good stuff traps, mainly because this came in the new Dual Terminal set and it looks really cool. So I played Skill Drain. So it might seem counterintuitive playing this with many monster effects in the main deck, but it's still a very powerful card that catches your opponent off guard, especially when they see you doing, monster effects, Lightsworn stuff. And often when you're breaking boards, you can do a lot like a half break, and then you can set this, and if this resolves, you can take advantage of the game, which happened many times. And then, cards like Skill Drain really shine when you play combo decks that aren't, Floodgate reliant, because you have to really choose the right time to use this. As funny as that may sound, but many times you have boards of Griffin and your Phoenix Enforcer, so you really have to play this last, and then obviously your monster effects, they turn off at that point, so then you're playing a different style of game where you have to just control with Golden Lord. And then, of course, you can get rid of this at any time. So really refreshing to use this, and it was really powerful in this deck. And then I played some Solemn cards, the 4 more cards, because again, I don't want to play too many because you can't always go first, but I wanted to play some. And then the idea of Warning is, I'm not sure, I think I had a dream, and I just woke up one day and I was like, wait, Warning is really good. And the main idea, the main theory behind Warning was it beats Rite of Aramisha, and it stops the Flunder normal summon, because the big strength of the Flunder normal summon is that they can chain block their effects and get from their banish pile, and Solemn Warning just says no and puts the card in the graveyard as well. So that's really, really, really good. So these, like, in general, they performed very highly for me. And I actually sided into a third copy of each in my side deck because I thought that they were that good, and I can confirm that they definitely felt like they were that good. And then the interesting duality of, these trap cards and playing so many combo cards as well is that some games you draw all traps and you're winning. Some games you draw all combo and you're winning. Some games you draw combo and traps, and they supplement each other really, really, really well. And they make your end boards super resilient because you can't just lose to Dark Rulers. You can't just lose to Droplets. You have backup in your traps. And of course, at that point, you're still playing Eldlich as well. So my favorite part about this deck is that every game plan feels really different. Every game feels really unique. And I guess the main factor of that is playing the Lightsworn cards, Charge and Raiden and Minerva, because based on your mills is usually how you're gonna go. So let's jump into the extra deck, because you have very standard stuff like the Phoenix Enforcer, the Anaconda, and the Dagda. They're very very standard stuff. We all know what they do. Super strong. So cards that I think are just ridiculous. So these two Charmers, well, particularly Dark in particular, I'm not sure this card should be legal. It's really broken. Because of Magician Souls, you often have a free Dark monster, and you can kind of interact with your opponent where they don't want to get rid of the Magician Souls, and then randomly out of nowhere you make this and you kill them with the help of cards like Selene, Unicorn, and Access Code. So it's very easy in this deck out of nowhere to just use two monsters to just end your opponent, especially because of Access Code and a Golden Lord is game. So it's very, very, very easy. And then I had so many opponents, so many matchups where they were just very surprised I could kill them. They didn't expect that lethal to damage, and then I just did so many clean OTKs as well, just with the correct sequencing of the plays, just to make sure that the Charmer goes through at the end. And especially playing the Light Charmer again, very good versus Veiler, and just having the option to get into Selene, so good. And then of course Link Spider as well. And then we play some synchro cards. We play Hulk, we play Baron, we play Cheng Ying, play Chaos Ruler, Shooting Riser, and Tech Genesis Wonder Magician. So I think I'll run through in a bit, some basic boards and how these really come up. But this deck's trying to use this card in a different way, where you just kind of, you have a couple of monsters, then you summon Hulk, and then it really depends how you go. But of course, the main one here is Chaos Ruler, because Raiden and the Adventure token go into Chaos Ruler. That comes up a lot, especially when they Ghost Ogre your Fateful Adventure. You get a really good high value follow-up. And then again, if you excavate one of the Destiny heroes, you can always add it to your hand. And as long as you mill a couple of Eldlich cards, you're really sweet. It's very, very, very solid. And then Wonder Magician helps you Scythe with your Hulk as well, so you don't always have to Dagda, or you can Dagda and Scythe. If you hard draw the Fusion Destiny, that happens a few times as well. Also, because Magician Souls are level 1 and Raiden is level 4, you can make this aggressively. And then combine this with an Eldlich trap and you get into a 10 as well. But the 10s are mainly for Minerva and for Griffin, because you have a level 7 and a level 3. So instead of leaving your Griffin on the field, you can normal your Minerva and turn it into this usually. However, I summoned Cheng Ying a lot more than what I thought I would as well. I summoned it at least 4 times in various different game states. If you get this card going with Eldlich cards banishing, it's quite something. It's super, super, super good. But, again, I'll reiterate once more, every game is different. Some games you're just playing with these 3. Some games you're just killing them with the middle, and then some games you're doing really cool stuff with Hulk, because you got to go first and do a big nice setup, and that's multi-threat and really cool. And lastly, the side deck I played, fairly simple. I think the side decking in this deck just felt so good because you have so many cards, so many traps that start going first, so many that are good going second. So I just play 2 anti-spell, 2 they can be 1, and the third of each. In theory, this can be any, I think these slots can occupy any 6 traps you want based on your meta, on your format. And the rest of the cards are strictly for going second. Again, these can occupy any kind of board wipe you want. I just chose Evenly and Lightning Storm because they're probably would be the best ones. And then, like, in conjunction with Droplet and Golden Lord effect and Draco back bouncing, you can really, you know, break apart the board in the way that you want. And then main phase 2 with Evenly Matched to set up your board. And then I just played some monsters for fun because they look good, but I think Pank is really good. I think Lava Golem's really good. I don't think Alpha is that great, but I think the last 3 slots here should just be any board wipey, hand trap like card. There is a theory to play Gamma in this deck as well, because you play a lot of like search and draw, but lots of good players never really let me Gamma them anyway, which is unfortunate. But the strength of this deck definitely comes from these nine slots for the board breakers going second. I don't play hand traps because I don't really want to rely on drawing multiple hand traps and then not having fuel for my Magician Souls, for example. So I really wanted to play cards that I could at least send off Magician Souls if I drew multiple of them, which is always an important consideration in this deck. So hopefully that wasn't too long-winded or vague. And then let's jump into some common board setups that you'll find with this deck. So one of the coolest things you can do in this deck, one of the most key interactions, is you can combine cards like Charge and Chaos Ruler and Raiden if you don't have adventure cards going with Illusion of Chaos to top deck something that you want to mill. So obviously, simple enough, you can use cards like Curse Eldland, or if you hard draw the Eldlich Trap, you can use them to search the card you want, say Golden Lord in this example. And then you can use the Illusion of Chaos to put the Golden Lord on top, and then get your Magician Souls. And then you can play Charge, and obviously you'll mill your Golden Lord, which is really good because then that can then send your Eldland to get another trap card in your graveyard and act as an extender, which is really cool. But you know, there's other applications of this obviously, but that's one of the key ones, is thinking about how you can use Illusion of Chaos to top deck the card that you want to mill off your Lightsworn cards. And then you could even take it a step further. In some fun builds I played, you can top deck cards like Wolf and Phallus to mill as well, but you know, that's more gimmicky, not meant for competitive plays. But it's not even that rigid as well, because often you might want to play your Charge first, just in case you mill some other Eldritch cards. You know, say you play Charge and you mill your Golden Lord, then obviously you want to use your Elderland to search a trap and just get double, which is really sick. Okay, so just the last thing I want to go through, you know, the common board setup. You've resolved Rite of Aramisha, you've set up your guys. You know, based on what you want to do, there's, you know, the different paths, of course. You know, Raiden lets you go into Chaos Ruler from here, especially good if they, you know, Ghost Ogre this, so you don't have anything. Very good. But usually if you have an extender like Magician Souls or Golden Lord, you get to turn these into, you know, Anaconda for DP, or you can turn them into a Hulk. In this case, Hulk would just get a good Ghost Ogre. So this is still, you know, insane 3 interactions. You have the Griffin negate that Ghost Ogre. The Hulk turns into either Tech Genis for a pop, or it can turn into Shooting Riser. Then you just send a level 1, becomes a level 6, and then you can turn into a level 10. So there's, you know, quite a lot of different variations and setups that you can do. Especially if you're going second, you can always turn Minerva and Griffin into one of the 10s. Or if you're doing aggressive push, you can turn your Raiden and your Souls into the ones of a Magician. Especially good on turn 3, backed up with a Eldlich Trap. You can do even more stuff. Also, don't forget level 5 and the level 3 for Chaos Ruler. Similar thing with Ghost Ogre, level 5, level 3 for Chaos Ruler. So there's a lot of cool, intricate synchro plays that you can do as well, based on the board state, the game state, what turn it is. You know, that's really cool, I think. It's different than the usual, you know, Floodgate Eldritch decks, or, you know, one card Hulk combos with Auroradon and such. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, to my Lightsworn Eldlich Adventure Destiny Souls deck profile. Check me out on Twitter below, my personal one, where I put pretty much most deck lists I want to show off. If I'm winning, if I'm not playing horribly and losing, they'll all be there. And yeah, hopefully much more videos to come. Thank you so much.